Hi, welcome to Shelf Starters. Today we're up to Sir Gawain and the Green Knight medieval story. And this is one of my absolute favourites.
Well, Rosie, I knew it would be yours. That was obvious from your traditional reading. But, you know, I've always been resistant, as you know, to the whole chivalry mode of tale telling. And I worked it out today. Why I've been so resistant is my introduction was not through reading the stories. My introduction was terrible cartoons, children's cartoons.
Oh, really?
Yes. So no wonder I didn't like it, because I think when on reading this that the tradition, the literature is so much stronger than any other telling could be, because the writing, the poetry is beautiful. I loved it.
Good. Yeah, I loved it too.
Total fan.
I think I like it because it's got a bit of everything, really. It's got like adventure, it's got loyalty, friendship, and romance, obviously, and a little bit of magic.
Strong women.
Strong women. Yeah.
I will say I'll never be eating venison or veal ever again.
You never really liked it in the first place.
And now I really don't, because that scene, that discussion, the total detailed discussion of the killing and cutting and preparing of the deer.
It's very ritualistic.
Oh, but and awful. I mean, it's
also
good. It's very good, but it's very awful, and I can't be eating that ever.
Fair enough.
That's just no. Anyway,
that's okay.
Anyway, we digress. Let's start with the story.
Yes. Let's talk about the story a little bit. So I don't think we call the poet who wrote it the Gawain poet, but he wrote a few other things as well, we think.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I think their other pieces were published in like the same manuscript. They were found in the same manuscript. So I think that's why we think that they're all written by the same person. Mm. Also, it's in quite a dialect.
Yes.
So I guess it's got that.
And there's a link to Cheshire.
Yeah, I think it must be the Cheshire dialect of the time or something. And so I guess that's the thread that connects these works, that we know that they're all by the same person.
So they're the same time as Chaucer, but the language base
quite different.
Is different. And therefore people find this less accessible than Chaucer, less familiar, I suppose.
Apparently.
But the meter of it and the alliteration.
Well, we read the translation.
Yes. And I loved that. I know we did, but the
translation, yes, Simon Armitage. So of course, it's great.
Really good, really good. Yeah, and I just found the language beautiful, rich and beautiful. Loved it.
Yeah.
So the story.
Yeah. So the story, we are at Christmas time, which already is exciting for me. I love a Christmas story. Yeah. At Arthur's castle, at the round table. And then a Green Knight comes in.
Who is a big, burly man and very green in every way. Even his horse is green. So it's not his green.
Yeah, and his clothes and everything. So everything is
armor. It's the whole of him. His entire being is green. And he is a huge man, like massive, actually physically, like a head or so taller than everyone else. So big, strong and green, suggesting a sort of otherworldliness and something a bit scary, I guess.
Yeah.
Something to be.
And he's got an axe.
Yes.
And a sprig of holly.
Yes.
And he says, let's play a game.
Which is a special game. Not for
play a special Christmas game.
Yes.
And he says something very specific about, like, it'll be, you give me a tap or something, and then I get to give you one too.
Yeah.
Something like that. And it's taken to be that it's with the axe, that they, one swing of the axe, and then I get to have a go at swinging the axe.
And the aim of the game is to?
Well, it turns into a beheading game.
Yes. Lovely.
So we didn't really know it would be a beheading game until they actually sort of decide that themselves.
Yeah.
So and then I think Arthur steps forward first
Yes.
and starts getting excited and looks like he's going to contribute to the game, and then the knights are all like, oh, this can't happen because he's going to die.
I like the description of Arthur, almost boyish in his love of life.
Yeah,
he's quite young in this story.
How young do you reckon he is?
Well, I don't know. I just read he's young, and then they talk about him being boyish. So
yeah, I also see that as kind of Arthur's personality, though. I guess we're going to know more about Arthur when we do towards the very end, actually, of the year. Probably we'll get to more Arthurian tales, but I sort of do see him as this kind of like boyish, adventurous, kind of reckless in some ways character.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and I think the funny thing about the beheading game is obviously you get the first chance to behead someone. You're pretty confident they're not going to get a chance to behead you as well.
Yeah, without their head, it would be difficult to carry on. Although, as the story goes,
there's some magic involved.
One can just pick up their head and carry on.
Well, this special Green Knight can anyway, so he's using some kind of magic.
Yes. Okay.
So
that's sure. Picking up your own head and
So the we didn't fully explain. So it's you get a chance to behead me.
Yeah.
Then in a year we meet again, and I get to do the same to you. So a knight steps forward. It's Gawain. He sees this as an opportunity to be chivalric, to be heroic.
Yes.
Yeah, to prove himself. He has his go at swinging the axe. He does behead the Green Knight. The Green Knight picks up his head and walks on out, says, see you in a year. And then, of course, it's very scary for Gawain because he doesn't have that magic. If someone tries to behead him, he will just die.
At a loss there. Yes.
So then he goes off and ends up at this other castle.
Yeah.
Where he's staying as like a guest, and the host says, let's make a deal. I'll go out hunting every day and I will share whatever I bring back with you.
Yes.
And you do the same to me. Whatever you get in the castle, you give to me.
Yeah.
So that's when all these scenes with the hunting come in.
Yes, which is not for the faint-hearted yet again.
Yeah, quite detailed, quite gruesome. Yeah. And meanwhile, in the castle, we're getting some very sexual scenes.
Yes, which is really interesting because it's not your regular sort of sexual scene, because the poor old Gawain, however we say that, Gawain, I think is the way we say it, has to prove his chivalry. He's torn by his chivalrous, what it takes to be chivalrous, because here he has this woman thrusting herself upon him.
The wife of the man who is letting him stay rent-free in the castle.
So he's got all kinds of problems because there's a loyalty issue to the man. Then there is the chivalrous behaviour towards the woman. And he accuses him of being, a loser because he won't, and being rude because he's not taking up her suggestions.
Yeah.
So then she is a very strong and forceful woman. And she then, do you want to go to the next bit?
Well, she kisses him.
Yes, and
several times, but then the fun part is when the husband comes back from the hunt, he has to give the kiss that he got during the castle to the husband. Yeah. So husband's just sharing his conquest from the hunting, and Gawain's sharing some kisses around with everyone.
Yeah.
And then she gives him this girdle.
Yes. She presses the girdle upon him. And that's the girdle.
Yes, the girdle's magic.
Yeah.
And it's life-preserving, I believe.
Yes.
So it's an interesting, I guess, question of honor, because he can wear this girdle to meet the Green Knight when his time comes, and then have a bit of magic himself that maybe will protect him in that beheading situation. But if he does that, is it cheating?
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Yes.
And is it
chivalry
going against
really
faith?
complicated? It's really, really complicated, full of paradox, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that then at the very end of it, they take up that symbol of the girdle as like a symbol of the Knights of the Round Table.
Yes.
A sash, a bright green belt worn obliquely to the body, crosswise like a sash.
Yep.
The slanting green stripe was adopted as their sign.
And how interesting is this colour green that runs through the story? Obviously.
Well, we didn't get to the end of the actual story, so he does meet the knight.
Yeah.
And he does not die because the knight gives 3 strokes. I think he misses twice, and then the second time just grazes him. So, and he's doing it on purpose, obviously. It's not that hard to behead someone. He's doing it on purpose because he says that
quite hard, but anyway. Sort of.
You think?
Oh yes.
I don't think back then, if you had a lot of experience with it, I think you'd be able to do it. And also he's staying still for it. Like he's gone in. He's not jumping around trying to avoid it.
Incredibly sharp.
So so he has his go at beheading Gawain. He doesn't do it, and he says it's because Gawain so obviously values his life so dearly that he sort of understands that and will allow him to walk free. Which is interesting because I think Gawain sees that as a failing, really, because he's cheated. He doesn't see it as a good thing that he valued his own life. He should be valuing chivalric code. He should be valuing his faith in God. He should have gone into the situation in a more brave way without this girdle protecting him.
Yeah.
So he does get away with it, but it's not really a happy ending for Gawain. He sees it as a humiliation.
Yes, that's right.
And then the fact that the knights then take on this symbol of the girdle as their symbol of the round table is quite shameful for him, really.
Yeah.
It's like a reminder that he is flawed.
Yes, that's right. Which is really interesting, isn't it? With that whole notion of chivalry and how it is. Yeah.
So now do you want to talk about the colour green?
Oh yeah, well I just found it really interesting. So green as in normally what we think of, what we associate with green, I think, is nature.
Yes.
Green pastures and nature. But then I read that green actually was a symbol of the devil, was the colour of the devil in these times. So that was a deliberate kind of double side. I mean, he is of nature and beyond this world also. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing seems to work with lots and lots of those sort of paradoxes, those doubles, which is kind of nice. But I thought that was really interesting. So I didn't know that. Hadn't read that ever before. But
we sort of think of like red as the devil's color, but
partly I actually think, which is the opposite, but But anyway, there you go. So anyway, I mean, the whole setup at the beginning, the setting of the context, the timing, and the beginning of the story, I just thought it was lovely. It was Christmas at Camelot. It really is romantic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Arthur's court. And then it talks all about the luxurious, the indulgence of the feasting and they're all gathered together and waiting for something to do beyond eating and drinking. They now need further entertainment. And so the whole notion of storytelling comes in, and it's lovely. But the introduction also of Guinevere, I like that. Gloriously at her place on the platform, pricelessly curtained by silk to each side and canopied across with tasteful tapestries of Toulouse and Thasia, studded with stones and studding gems beyond pocket or purse, beyond what pennies could buy. But not one stone outshone the courts of the Queen's eyes. It's quite gorgeous, isn't it? It's very rich. All the imagery is very, very rich, and the alliteration just totally adds to it. I think it really works. Do you agree? Did you think that? I think
Armitage is a genius. I mean, he's right. I mean, we say, he's obviously poet laureate and all that, so he is an amazing poet in his own right. But his translations are seamless; like they flow so well.
It flows. There's not one moment, really. I don't think. The only thing that doesn't completely flow for me, I thought, was that switching from past to present tense, which happened all the way through. I mean, that is kind of a little bit odd. but that's obviously by design to be odd, to give us that sense of magic and that sense of the romantic, I suppose. But other than that, really, the language, totally seamless. It doesn't feel at all out of place. It doesn't feel even translated. It just feels as it would have been. And it's really rich and really beautiful and really, really easy to read. And especially good if you read it out loud to yourself. The meter does work really, really well. Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful.
We didn't mention that the girdle is from Morgana Le Fay. Morgan Le Fay.
Yeah.
In fact. So it's bringing back all of that other world.
The sorcery, yes.
Yeah, which I do love.
So I love the description of the knight. The fearful form framed in the door, a mountain of man, immeasurably high, a hulk of a human from head to hips. Long and
I mean, it sort of reminds me of like a troll or something like that. Like
but not a troll, because he's handsome. Handsome too, like any horseman worth his horse. But despite the bulk and brawn of his body, his stomach and waist were slender and sleek. In fact, in all features, he was finely formed, it seemed. Amazement seized his eyes, blah, blah, blah. So
he's mad. He looks like a man still, but he's just like a large one.
And just like a gorgeous specimen of a man.
Yes.
Is what they're saying. Yeah.
Yes. I found the star. Let's have a look. Because this is what it looks like. See?
Yep. With the 5 points. It's a shield.
Yeah. So it says, it's the shield. Then they showed him the shining scarlet shield with its pentangle painted in pure gold. It is a symbol that Solomon once set in place and is taken to this day as a token of fidelity. For the form of the figure is a 5-pointed star, and each line overlaps and links with the last, so is ever eternal, and when spoken of in England is known by the name of the endless knot. So it's supposed to suit Gawain because he is loyal and pure.
Yes.
A prince who talked the truth, known as the Noblest Knight. First, he was deemed flawless in his 5 senses. Secondly, his 5 fingers were never at fault. Thirdly, his faith was founded in the 5 wounds Christ received on the cross, as the creed recalls. So it's supposed to be reminiscent of God as well.
Yeah. So, and 5s, all in 5s. Yeah.
Yeah, which then I think is that big contrast to the girdle later on, because he's not pure. He's a little cowardly.
Yes. Yes.
So he sets himself up as this perfect knight, and then we find out later that he can't quite meet his own expectations.
Yeah. Yes, and that's the point, meeting your own expectations. That's right. That's right.
So it's kind of like a lesson to him.
Yeah.
A lesson in humility. Really.
Yes. Although it seems to me that he's humble from the start, really. So not so much a lesson in humility. It's a disappointment in himself.
Yeah.
I think he was always didn't see him as turning from being less than humble to being suddenly.
Well, he goes into it, I think, thinking he's going to win when he has that beheading moment. Right. So at that point, I don't think he's thinking that there's going to be any real challenge for him. I think he is sort of quite proud.
I think the sense of his disappointment is greater than the sense of he's learned to be humble. It's just sad.
It's sad. Yeah, it ends in kind of like poor guy.
I'm so sorry. I also, Rosie, loved the description of the changes of the seasons, or that. Do you remember that bit? After lavish come the lean days of Lent, when the flesh is tested with fish and simple food, when the world's weather wages war on winter, cold shrinks earthwards and the clouds climb, sun-warmed, shimmering rain comes showering onto meadows and fields where flowers unfurl, woods and grounds wear a wardrobe of green, birds burble with life and build busily as summer spreads, settling on slopes as it should. How beautiful is that?
Yeah, because showing the passing of time for that whole year that he has to wait. So
into those lines, but the movement, the fluidity of those words. Oh, I think it's just gorgeous. I love that. Thought that was a standout. Absolute standout. And then and when you've got that beautiful lyrical sort of poetry when you're describing the seasons, compared with the scene with, you know, the fierce woman, which is very different indeed. She's mean, ruthless in her pursuit.
She's mean, yeah.
Very
She's mean and sexual, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, not in a gentle fashion.
Definitely not gentle, no.
No.
Not gentle at all.
It's quite, well, all right. The knight felt nervous. Lying back, he assumed the shape of sleep. Oh, that's right. I love this part where he pretends to be asleep because he can't think of what.
Yeah, so that she can't do anything.
What can we do? I know. I'll just pretend to be asleep, and maybe she'll just go away. I love it. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, she said this. I'll bind you in your bed.
Yeah, I'll bind you in your bed, and you better believe me.
Yeah,
that's how she speaks. The lady laughed, making light of his quandary. She's horrible to him.
Yeah, she doesn't really give him much of a chance there. We are left all alone. Blah blah. I'll make the most of my time and stay talking a while. You're free to have my all. Do with me what you will.
Yeah.
I'll come just as you call and swear to serve you well.
Yeah. She's a woman on a mission.
Yeah.
She's a definite woman on a mission. And then I love how mean she is. So she then says, she encourages him. She says, I encouraged you to kiss. But she then says, I would like to learn, how can it follow that a lord so lively and young in years, a champion in chivalry across the country, and in chivalry, the chief most aspect to choose, as all knights acknowledge, is loyalty and love. For when tales of truthful knights are told in both title and text, the topic they describe is how lords have laid down their lives for love, endured for many days love's dreadful ordeal, then vented their feelings with avenging valour by bringing great bliss to a lady's bedroom.
Yeah, basically, if you're a knight, you're expected to go out and sleep with all these women because that's the whole point.
What kind of chivalrous knight are you if you won't do that, you useless being? It's hilarious.
Yeah. And that contrasted with then immediately this violent imagery of the, like, stripping away the flesh from the
of
the deer and stuff is really clever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And she does.
That was actually a very gripping read.
Oh, totally.
Really.
Totally. It's very gripping. I absolutely was so surprised at how much I loved it.
Yeah, I thought you would be, because it's sort of, because I guess it's a magic story again, and you don't really think that you like magic stuff.
No.
It's the sort of thing you don't expect to enjoy, but I think, I just hope that Chaucer's just as good, honestly, because I think this is setting high expectations.
Yes, it is. The bar is high, Rosie. Correct.
Yeah, and there's a film coming out, which I think.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm always nervous about adaptations, especially ones as weird as this, but I think it could be interesting.
Surely cannot do justice to the language. Surely.
Well, no, not the language. And I think it would be weird because, you know, how do you show a massive Green Knight without that being a little bit laughable in cinema? So I don't know. But yeah, it's got Dev Patel in it, and we do love him. We do. So yeah, I'm keen to see it and see what it's actually like. I read obviously the translation because it was easier in this volume, but I did also buy this the Penguin edition that has all of the works of the Gawain poet in one.
Oh yeah.
But they're in the original writing, so it's challenging to read. But I did read the other poems as well. I didn't love them. I quite liked Pearl, but again, I liked Pearl more in the Simon Armitage translation that he did.
I think we can't go beyond this, can we?
He's just he just makes it so accessible.
Yeah.
So I really liked it, but also I think the story itself is better than the other two, they're very religious. The other two poems.
Is Pearl a religious sort of story?
It is, but it also has it's about a father whose daughter died as a child. I think she's like 2 or 3, like she's very little when she dies, and it's about his grief. And then he sees her, like a vision of her, I guess. I can't remember if he's sleeping or something, but he sees her grown up in heaven, and it's like it's processing his grief. So it is religious, because it does talk about the afterworld and things like that. But it's a lot more about the relationship between father and daughter and grief, really. So I thought it was very moving.
Okay.
So this one I do like, but he's only unfortunately done this one.
Are you saying that's a penguin, or what is it?
No, this one's not. This is Faber and Faber. So Simon Armitage has done Sir Gawain, the Death of King Arthur, which is a different poem, not by the Gawain Knight, I don't think.
Right.
Gawain Knight, the Gawain poet. But he hasn't done, this is the Penguin one, which has Pearl, Cleanness and Patience. So Cleanness and Patience haven't been translated by Simon Armitage, as far as I know.
Okay. So I'd like to read Pearl.
Yeah, you could get this version.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. I would like to do that.
Yeah.
Now that I've got a taste for it.
Oh, and I have to tell you as well, while we're on the topic of Simon Armitage translations of medieval poetry, he has one coming out in October, which is The Owl and the Nightingale, I think. But I've got it in my wish list because, in fact, I actually might have already pre-ordered it, because I just know that I love that stuff, and it's fitting that we're doing medieval stuff at the moment, and he's got something out this year, which is really exciting. The Owl and the Nightingale, Simon Armitage, coming out on the 7th of October.
Great.
And we don't have The Owl and the Nightingale in our Norton stuff, so it's something we would have missed.
Okay.
If not for this.
Perfect. So
it says the narrator overhears a fierce verbal contest between the two birds, the owl and the nightingale, which moves entertainingly from the eloquent and philosophical to the ribald and ridiculous.
Okay.
So identity, cultural habits, class distinctions, and the right to be heard.
How interesting, because the owl, wisdom, obviously. And Nightingale. Okay, so I just think Keats.
Well, yeah, but this is definitely beyond that. Earlier than that.
I don't know anything about nightingales other than Keats.
But they come up, actually. We probably will talk about them a lot more, because they do come up quite consistently in medieval literature. So I think we probably do need to look into what nightingales actually symbolise later on.
Symbolise, because we have owls for sure. But we should find that out. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that's going to be interesting, and it has illustrations, I think. So I'm really keen to get that in October.
Right. And the next reading we're moving into Chaucer, which is the same time frame, but
same time frame, different dialect. So that'll be exciting. All right. So if you've read Sir Gawain, let us know what you think. If you've seen the trailer of the movie, also let me know what you think of that and what you think you're gonna, how you're gonna respond to it, because I think it could be, I'm not sure how it's going to be received. I hope it's good, but I am nervous because I know that Beowulf adaptations, for example,
is definitely, the Green Horse is going to be a bit of a problem.
They're going to have to change that, surely. I don't know. But anyway, let us know what you think, because we'll be very keen to hear. And we'll see you again next week for the Canterbury Tales.
Yeah, fantastic. Looking forward to that very much.
Been waiting all this time for that, really.
I've been dying for my Chaucer.
All right. Thanks for watching, and see you again next time. Bye.